Good morning, Bucknutters, and I mean that. It is Tuesday, December 30th, 2025. 26 is almost here. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change, joined, as always, by Garrick, Hodge, and Mark Porter. So I whipped up a really nice rundown here on Cotton Bowl Eve. Garrick is in the Dallas area, specifically Irving, Texas, along with Pat Murphy and Steve Hellwagon covering the event. Mark is hunkered down in his secluded headquarters, and then wouldn't you know, Ohio State pulls one, I don't know, whatever cliche you want, out of the bag, hits it at the tape, whatever. As of yesterday morning, the top recruit in the class of 2027, according to 24/7 Sports, DJ Jacobs, a defensive end from Roswell, Georgia, was announcing his commitment on CBS Sports, and all signs pointed towards the Hurricanes of Miami getting the commitment. Pre-writes were done by recruiting writers. It was a big deal. Then, as Tom Loy relayed in beautiful fashion, at the literally, our guy gets up, DJ gets up from the dais, takes a phone call, comes back, and your Buckeyes are then announced as the winner. Garrick, could you please put in the details to this? And this is my favorite. LJ is washed. He's an old guy, huh?
Yeah.
Take it away, Garrett.
Yeah, geez. So it's been a whirlwind of a 24 hours for sure. I went to bed Sunday evening thinking that this one was over. Got pretty strong indications that DJ Jacobs was going to ultimately commit to Miami. And there was some pretty strong reasoning to think that that was going to end up being the case. Got the same vibe again Monday morning. And then early Monday afternoon, we were tipped off, hey, Ohio State's making a late push here. They're making a late run. And this isn't anything new in terms of the recruiting atmosphere. Ohio State makes late pushes on guys that ultimately commit elsewhere that isn't really reported on. So it's not necessarily a new thing, but what is new is that this late push, this 11th hour recruitment, if you want to call it that, it paid off. And it paid off in a tremendous way. When I heard that they were making a late push, I did a little checking of my own, and I got we're trying. Don't know how optimistic it's going to be, but we're going down swinging. And apparently going down swinging, connected with the baseball and hit it 500 feet over the fence, out of the park. DJ Jacobs is the type of player that you spend your entire day apparently trying to make last-minute pitches to his family, to himself, to his agent, whoever you want to pitch to, because he is a game-changing pass rusher that could contribute the day he sets foot on Ohio State's campus. This is a tremendous recruiting win for Ryan Day. This is a tremendous recruiting win for Larry Johnson, who I can confirm is not washed, contrary to popular belief sometimes. Ohio State, I mean, listen, we get a lot of talk that Ohio State will not pay top market for players. And listen, they're not going to reset the market for anybody. But can they be very competitive and very fair to top players in the country that they view are worth it? You're damn right they can. And I think that yesterday proved that they can be very competitive when the time comes to play ball in the modern recruiting era. So I think, yes, I wouldn't get too comfortable because it's 11 months before early signing day, and we've all seen the ups and downs that the modern recruiting world can bestow upon many fan bases. I mean, we just went through it over a 3-day stretch with Chris Henry Jr. once Brian Hartline was headed to USF. But the thing in common there is that the past couple of recruiting cycles, Ohio State's top recruit, or their crown jewel of their respective recruiting class, if you want to call it that, has been approached by multiple schools trying to poach him and Ohio State usually gets it done in the end and makes sure he's in Columbus more often than not. Jeremiah Smith, Devin Sanchez, Chris Henry Jr., all of these guys are into the equation. And if you want another reason to take a deep breath and enjoy this for just a second, which I encourage you to do because you'll have 11 months to freak out about other schools potentially trying to steal this guy away. It is very hard to flip a guy of this caliber because of the modern recruiting elements involved, because of the culture that's involved at Ohio State. Now, if there was, heaven forbid, a coaching change in a year, could maybe there be a different story? Sure, but that's not a problem to talk about today, or probably a problem to talk about for many years, knowing Ryan Day. But I can't emphasize enough how much of a game-changing recruitment this is, at least for the moment. And I know some people are saying, yeah, we just won the first offer. Well, these types of recruitments are very hard to flip, and I would much rather be in Ohio State's position than any other schools right now in terms of landing him. So other schools are chasing Ohio State at this very moment, and not the other way around.
It's harder to flip him now than it would have been prior to the NIL era. I think that's what you're trying to say, and I agree with you. There's a lot more contractual stuff here. There's you got to get pretty far down the road from a commitment on both sides level to get to this point. And we've talked about this. They're not going to break the bank and get competitive unless the guy can come in right away and contribute. And they've proven this. Devin Sanchez, they right away and contribute. Jeremiah, right away and contribute. So I don't think it's outlandish at all. Now, pulling it off in the fashion they did is crazy, but I'd be comfortable betting on the fact that he would end up a Buckeye right now, barring, like you said, seismic changes in personnel or any material changes. But if it's status quo, the decision's been made. It's not as easy to get out of it. Now, it's modern recruiting, and we'll see. But the idea, like, I just remember when Sean Wade committed, and there was this thing, there used to be this thing that any Florida commitment we got back in the day, no one really even believed it until he was in his dorm. I don't think that's how it works these days. All right, now, the best part of this, Mark, show us the video of DJ Jacobs. You had never seen him before. Give us your thoughts on your first impressions and how would you compare him, et cetera.
This first play that's coming up here is one of those ones that Dan's face will change when he sees it. I watched the film. I couldn't believe he was actually 6'6". And then you watch it and you realize why he's the number one recruit in the country. He's not even a finished product, guys. I mean, he looks so lanky and long that there's going to be so much more to him once he gets into a college weight program, et cetera, that, boy, you're just seeing scratching the surface right here. And what scratches the surface, 30 tackles for a loss. You know how hard that is to get in the backfield 3 times a night and drag someone down, not to mention the sacks and stuff like that. So the explosive long body, the pass rusher body, the most valuable position on the defensive end and corner, he is prime time to be that type of player. I got really excited seeing when I first watched it, I thought, this guy's 6'2", 6'3", like Lawrence Taylor or something. And then by the end of it, I'm like, this is Julius Peppers. This is a guy like that in the making, more so than your standard sized outside linebacker. And when you see him playing like stand-up linebacker and doing
first step stuff, is lethal.
Yeah, it's like anytime someone's ranked number 1 in the country, you always kind of do that. Well, what's all this hype about? Or is this like, coming from a place where a writer lives, and he's real familiar with the guy or something? The hype is there, guys. This is a special player to land this early. And then, I'm not into the color of, how this goes like Garrick is, but boy, the fans already are worried about the flip. I mean, let's enjoy this guy. I mean, he's going to be around for a while before anything weird would happen. So, what an exciting – most times you get a prospect like this, and the way you guys are talking, he could go and get up on the field right now. He's not even scratching the surface of what he's going to be able to do in the next couple of years. So, wow, I mean, jaw dropper.
I put in our impact article in terms of seeing the field right away. it's very hard to project exactly how quickly someone can contribute when you're talking about a prospect that is a year away from college, and Ohio State hasn't even completed the transfer portal cycle yet, so you don't know what additions are coming and what subtractions are coming. So when you don't have a clear picture of the roster, but I can tell you, regardless of what additions they make or subtractions they make, this guy is going to be in contention to both be a starter day one, and if he isn't ready for that, be a contributor day one. I think the most likely scenario is he takes a path similar to Jack Sawyer and JT Tuamoliau when they first got on campus, where they weren't necessarily starters day one, but they sure played a hell of a lot, between 10 to 25 snaps in a given day. And I think exactly that's the kind of workload that DJ Jacobs will be ready for right away. So, I mean, hey, we have 11 months to dream on him, but yeah, like you said, Mark, guys, it's okay to get excited about landing a guy of this caliber. This is a potentially game-changing prospect coming to Columbus.
The chat will correct me on this, but I'm trying to remember the last true freshman that got a ton of snaps on the defensive line. It might be Joey Bosa. I remember watching Joey as a true freshman in person, and it was staggering. Now, it was a fight. He was having to drag himself off the turf every play, but you talk about someone playing 100%. And by the way, it's worked out quite well for Mr. Bosa. Going to be a free agent again this offseason. Dallas. Sorry. Something caught my throat there. Speaking of Dallas, and we're going to have a ton of stuff on DJ's commitment when the Cotton Bowl's over with. We'll get a commitment article out there and stuff. We don't want to take our eye too far off the ball, though. And thankfully for that, we are back to Garrick. I tried to add it up today so that we would balance out the chatter, and I was unable to do so. Garrick is in Irving, Texas. He has seen the Buckeyes practice, or what little a bit of practice they let us view. General to specific, your vibe on how things are going out there, what you've seen from the team, and then maybe kind of, we know what the health report is. From what you've seen of the guys and heard out there, who do you expect to be at full strength when the ball's kicked off tomorrow night?
Yeah, I will say we only got a 5-minute practice viewing window yesterday. So, and basically, if you want a picture of what I was doing, it was sprint. Yeah. That's my poorly imitated taking photos impression. But in any case, the injury report looks pretty true. I don't think there's anything fabricated on there. Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, both full participants in practice, both look smooth as ever. I'm not expecting them to be limited by anything, hopefully. So they should be in much better shape than they were when they played Indiana about 3 weeks ago. So any concerns about that should be mitigated, hopefully. In terms of the vibes are really good. You saw a confident team stroll into Dallas yesterday for media day. A lot of players were happy, smiles on their faces. You can tell that they're eager to redeem the loss to Indiana and make another run and go back-to-back in this thing. I spent most of my media day in Dallas talking to assistant coaches about Ohio State signees, so that will be more of a tale for later down the road after this Cotton Bowl is over. But if you want to call it a tease in the industry, I did have a pretty good conversation with Carlos Lachlan about Legend Bay. So look for that on Bucknuts, probably within the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 days, and you'll get a pretty good story on there. So because we all know that Legend Bay story is intriguing, and everyone's happy he's going to be a Buckeye. But you got plenty of stories like that from different assistant coaches on the incoming signees and what you think you're going to get from them. I was very future focused on this day because the way media day works, just to give everybody kind of a bird's eye view of what it's like. You have a bunch of reporters, and of course, Dan and Mark, of all people, know that the Ohio State beat is probably bigger than 90% of NFL beats. Just to give you an idea, it's probably the biggest college beat, and I would say it's bigger than 90% of NFL beats. Now, I don't think it's bigger than the Cowboys beat. I don't think it's bigger than the Bears beat, and there's probably a couple others in there that
the New York Giants, just because it's in New York, but I follow. You're on the right track.
For sure. But so you have a bunch of Ohio State reporters, and we have the entire roster available to us, including assistant coaches. And keep in mind, guys, we do not get a chance to talk to these guys throughout the entire course of the year. So if you want a chance to talk to how's the development coming of the second string cornerback, how's the development coming of Tavian St. Clair, for example, this is your one opportunity to go ask him about it and kind of get a view on where he's at. And you have a 45-minute window to do so. So you come in with a plan. I want to get this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And then you ultimately know I'm going to have to settle for half of that. But it's definitely the most useful event when we go to these big bowl trips. And if you do it well, you get about 6 or 7 stories out of it. But just bringing this back full circle to how the vibes are, I think you're going to see a really confident team come out on Wednesday, guys. I think you're going to see a healthy team. And I would hope that the long layoff isn't going to be a hindrance to Ohio State, even though the very limited small sample size past history might suggest otherwise. But I think you're going to get a full throttle effort.
Mark, we discussed the game a little bit last week. There's a little more meat on the bone now. As we approach, and we are in Cotton Bowl Eve, kickoff would be about 36 hours away, a little less. There's a lot of national vibe. I'll say this, more national support of Miami than I had expected. Maybe I'm just too biased. Where are you with the game right now? Well, what are your advanced vibes now with kickoff coming?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Miami hype from the 80s or 90s is back in full force, and the Michael Irvins of the world are back supporting. And I think that has given that team a fun feel. And you know what? I think college football needs teams like Miami to be back with that swag, or I don't want to call them the villain or the convicts or whatever, but you need that atmosphere in college football. It makes it more fun to beat teams like that. And I think that's the role they're playing. And I think that's probably why the national audience or so many people are coming out of the woodwork to support them. I said 2 weeks ago on my chat that they're the team that scares me the most because they have the puncher's chance. They're the team that can slip a tackle and take things to the house and put points on the board and not necessarily do it in a grinded out, better than you every series type of team, but they can be better than you on a couple series here and there. And that scares me. But I circle back to the Patricia defense, and I think that's why you sleep well at night, that nobody has been able to penetrate that. They've had penetrating drives and maybe lucky sequences that have put some points on the board, but generally they're not going to go run you out of the building, okay, against this defense. So I think that's why everyone's like us is so confident in Ohio State that we're going to score 21 to 28 points, and we're going to keep it down around the 10 or 14 range. And that's kind of how our season goes. And I think this is no different. I think Miami is maybe a year away, maybe another quarterback away from being a bigger problem next year, because they're spending so much money and they're building that roster. But this is our first chance to tap them out, and I think we do.
Yeah. Really, it comes down to, we talked about this, and I've said I think the offensive line of Ohio State will be kind of the biggest unit to keep an eye on. But from a even more macro sense, it's really whether you think the team Ohio State had in the Big Ten championship game is the team that's going to be in this game. I do not think that. I can just speak for myself, and I'm not actually on the team. I don't know if anyone knew that. There was a weird feeling about that game, even coming just the timing of it. Look, I wish we could get up for every game similarly, but the idea that they were up for that game as much as they were the week before, I don't care what the championship stakes were. I find that hard to believe. And then you add in the fact that they've had some time off for fresh legs. I'll tell you who's going to look like he's shot out of a cannon is Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson was never the main back in high school. He never was like a 20 carry a game guy. And now he's been carrying the load at this level. He's going to feel like a new man when he goes out there. He hasn't carried the ball in 3 weeks. He's going to feel great. The receivers, I just don't really understand. I guess Vegas knows. 9 points is a decent spread. But if you were to listen to the chatter, it doesn't match up. All right, I need you guys to make a pick. Garrick, your pick for the game, because we will not obviously be on the air before tomorrow night, and we will not have a show on Thursday. So even if you pick wrong here, you'll be able to back off.
Well, you're spoiling the round table, Dan, but that's okay. I ended up going with 21-10. Ohio State is my prediction. I think that Miami's defense is no joke. I think that their pass rushing defensive end is the best tandem that the Buckeyes are going to see all year, because I really think they're good players. I think they're both NFL high-quality prospects, and I think the biggest reason Miami is in this spot right now is because their priority in terms of NIL is going to the trenches, and it's paying off in a big way, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, plus transfer quarterbacks. But speaking of transfer quarterbacks, it is statistically proven that if you get pressure on Carson Beck, that guy is either going to give you the football or he's going to throw the ball to kingdom come in the stands. There is no in between. He is not going to throw it to a Miami receiver if you get successful pressure on him and if you dial it up from different places. I'm very curious to see if Matt Patricia blitzes a little more this game than he's typically prone to do, just based off of that sentiment alone. We'll have to see how that goes. But listen, I like Mark Fletcher a lot, former Ohio State running back commit. I think he's a good running back. I don't think he's a great running back. And I think that Sonny Styles and Arbel Reese are two very capable and more than capable linebackers that can stop the run and be very effective there. I think Caden McDonald is going to have a great game up front. And ultimately, I think Matt Patricia is going to do what Matt Patricia's done all year and hold opposing offenses, suffocate them, and give Ohio State a chance to win. And I think Ryan Day and Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and everyone involved with that offense is going to do just enough to give Ohio State a chance to win this game, and I think they're going to get it done. I personally think that if you score at least 17 in this playoffs, you're probably going to win each game, and I think they're going to get it done. But the only thing that gives me concern is, like I said, I think Miami's defense at all levels is actually pretty solid, something that I wasn't expecting coming into this year. But last thing for me on this is that the one area I would attack Miami, I would attack them in the middle, especially with their linebackers and pass coverage. They've shown vulnerabilities there. If you run a lot of crossing routes or you run some slants, you can definitely get big chunks of yardage. And I know Ryan Day is just licking his chops to exploit that fact. So I'm interested to see how it plays out, but I've got Ohio State winning by 2 scores.
This is from Jacques Taylor. Got to play good defense like we did against Indiana. We have to be better on the offensive line, protecting our quarterback so we can make plays down the field, and we'll give Miami a tough game. I wonder if that's the Jacques Taylor who attended Ohio State and then was a Dallas Cowboys beat writer for many, many years. So we shall see. Mark, your pick for the game. Give us a number.
Well, I kind of alluded to that when I was talking before, where I think it almost seems like lazy analysis to say, well, it's going to be right around the season averages. Miami's going to score 10 to 14 points, and Ohio State's going to score 21 to 28 points, and that it's just going to go like our season averages. And I kind of feel that coming. I feel like Ohio State's comfortably going to win. And for the reasons that I believed last year, and Dan already said today, is you kicked the beehive when you lost to Indiana. And there's not much. It's like one of those videos. You see one of those idiots on a ladder and they go to spray the beehive and they can't even get off the ladder because they're getting stung to death. I think that's kind of what you're running into with Ohio State. They're pretty annoyed right now. They're a better team. The receivers from Ohio State I think are going to be the difference. But Garrick, you brought it up too. It does worry me to see pass rushers against the offensive line. Not because it's a bad offensive line. It's because we know we have first-round receivers. We know we have a first-round quarterback. Bo Jackson is plenty good. Who knows what his draft status? So it's like the whole team is first round. It's every week or in every big game. Will that offensive line hold up? Will they be able to have the pocket clean like they've done? And, no one's had a cleaner pocket, but when Ohio State's had trouble, that pocket has shrunk on us, and Miami can do that. So that may be a couple drive killers. We're going to get 8, 10, 12 drives. Okay, we put 28 points up. A couple of them, you may get stung by a first-round draft pick. Not the worst thing in the world if you really want to get into it, but very optimistic that Ohio State is, humming down there and ready to put on a show.
It's interesting that we talk about the defensive line of Miami so much, and they are really good players. The player with the most sacks in this game is Caden Curry. He had 11. I think the most on Miami was Akeem Mesidor had 8.5. Ruben Bay entered the playoffs with 7.5 sacks. So that's good, but it's not, Myles Garrett. Okay, so let's know that. It's just the offensive line that gave up 5 or 6 sacks all season, and then gave up 5 or 6 in the game against Indiana. Can't do that. But so which squad shows there? I just hope they cut it loose. We've been hearing about how they've been playing. I noticed they're like, oh, Ohio State's not explosive. They've had fewer explosive plays than the other teams. Well, they don't have as many plays. We've talked about how they've basically cut the season down by a game to try and rest people. So it's time to cut it loose, as it were. I need to see the ball going down the field on a routine basis, deep to Jeremiah. I also wonder, Jeremiah is also one of those, I think it's fair to say, special players. When you have a special player who has a little extra something for a game, if you're maybe like a Miami native, it would be sports drama sufficient for Jeremiah to star in this game and kind of show Miami what they know they missed out on. So that also makes it cool. I'm not sure I know a score yet. I'll have one on the round table, but I think 2 scores is good. And I'll also say this. If they get off to a great start, and my favorite game, the way to have a game is score, 3 and out, score, and you're up 14-0. If that happens, I think you could see the aforementioned Carson Beck go into meltdown mode, start forcing it, and then then it could be a party by halftime. All right, we're going to finish with this. Because we're not going to be on the show, not have a Thursday show because it's New Year's Day and you'll be celebrating. Don't worry, there'll be what we learned live. We'll come after the game and that'll suffice. But Garrick will be going from Dallas to San Antonio for a big all-star game and see a bunch of future Buckeyes. Very quickly, Garrick, could you preview that experience for us?
Yeah. Really quick before I do, just want to make a quick note that Ohio State got 1 win over Miami this week with DJ Jacobs, and they're hoping to get a second. So 1 down, 1 to go. But
biggies.
Yes. So I will be headed to San Antonio to cover the Navy All-American Bowl. It's a great event. There's going to be 3 Ohio State 2026 commits there, at least 6 scheduled to be there as of right now. And that is offensive tackle Sam Greer, cornerback Jordan Thomas, and drum roll please, Chris Henry Jr. So that is number 1, 2, and 3 in terms of the guy that I'm excited to talk to. Hopefully I have a chance to sit down with him. We'll give you full reaction on what transpired in those 72 hours, what went through his head, why did he stay with Ohio State, what was Oregon's push like. We'll break down all of that soon and within the next week here. So excited to talk to Chris, and don't worry. We'll also talk about what you expect to get going on with Ohio State in the near future pretty soon too. We're not going to make it all just about his recruitment. We'll get you what he's bring to the table skill set too. And it's going to be fun to watch him just tear defensive backs apart in those practices leading up to the game. But aside from him, there's close to, I believe there's 20 players with Ohio State offers coming to this. Most of them in the 2027 class, because this event, it used to be just Senior Bowl only, but now it's turned into you can play as a senior, you can play as a junior. Really quickly, the juniors that I'm most excited to see, this is a running back out of Texas named Sarad Baker, just recently offered by Ohio State. Once we get off here, I'm going to have Dan go look at his Texas high school playoff run. He has completely torched all opposing defenses. Ohio State only offered within the last couple of weeks, and they have been joined by plenty of blue blood programs. So I'm excited to get a look of probably one of the hottest running back prospects in the 2027 class, and I know Ohio State has a lot of interest in him. Another name, California cornerback Danny Lane. I know that he's been high on Ohio State's radar for a long time. USC's also been really pushing for him. I think that's going to be a USC-Ohio State battle all the way. Eager to get an update from Danny on where things kind of sit with him. I watched him at camp going up against Jameer Brown, and I'll tell you this. I think Jimmy Brown is one of, if not the best wide receiver in the 2027 class, and Danny Lane held his own against him. And so I'm excited to watch him play. I'm excited to watch Chris Henry Jr. play. I'm excited to watch Sam Jordan Thomas play. But we're going to have 17 other names there that are going to be worth paying attention to, and we'll have a full preview for you ready to go probably around Sunday or Monday if you want to know who you should be looking forward to hearing about the next week.
Keep it locked in. Our guys are in Dallas all today, and they'll be there tomorrow and tomorrow night. And then you'll have What We Learned Live after that, and then we'll see where we go from there. Already had one huge win this week on the recruiting trail. Let's get another one over Miami and Dallas. Have a good one, Nutters.